Shakespeare, the dramatist. Dating the plays. Only half of Shakespeare's plays were printed during his lifetime, usually sometime after being performed, so dating them is not easy because few records survive. Therefore, the works must be dated by combining three kinds of evidence. External. This is the most valuable kind of evidence, and it consists of a clear mention or reference to a particular play. External evidence seldom gives the date of the first performance of any play, but it shows that the play was written before a certain date. Internal. This kind of evidence is when the play itself includes a reference to an identifiable event. Stylistic. This method of dating is the most difficult. However, the changes in Shakespeare's style are so noticeable that a play can reasonably be placed in a precise period. By a combination of the three methods, most plays can be dated approximately and placed roughly in the order of their writing, so that it is possible not only to trace Shakespeare's development but also to see his plays against the background of his times. A Shakespearean play. General features. The progress of a Shakespearean play is usually linked to the gradual clarification of things which are left mysterious at the beginning. The themes are hinted at, but their real meaning becomes apparent much later. Opinions and assumptions are formed, and though they seem unimportant at the time, they turn out to be decisive after several scenes. There is also a frequent contrast between scenes with many characters and scenes with few scenes in public and in private, those full of action and those devoted to reflection. Major scenes with crucial events are preceded and followed by shorter scenes whose function is simply to provide information. Shakespeare sometimes leaves some questions open so that we continue to think about the answer to the puzzle after the play is over. Most of the time, Shakespeare disregarded the three Aristotelian unities of time, place, and action, so that the structure of the play was flexible. Shakespeare did not give great importance to the division between the acts. Sometimes this division was imposed later. In the Elizabethan theatre, there was no curtain fall between the acts, and the plays were performed without an interval. As a rule, in a Shakespearean play, a scene is over when all the characters have left the stage. Soliloquies, asides, introductory passages spoken in a prologue or by chorus, funeral orations and deathbed speeches are only some of the conventions used by Shakespeare that were natural on a stage, where the contact between actors and audience was very close. Most stage directions were added by the editors, especially in the 18th century. Actually, it is the text itself that provides information about the atmosphere and feeling of a scene, about the way in which characters enter the stage and live it. These directions and descriptions are often given indirectly, hidden in a question or a metaphor. So Shakespeare asked for the active cooperation of the spectator in making the play come alive in his/her imagination. Shakespeare did not take his characters from one social class only. Hierarchy forms the background of every play. There is almost always a man of a royal or aristocratic blood, a king, a prince, a duke, a statesman, or a nobleman. From the aristocracy, the list descends to nurses, rustics, and servants. Another important feature is the importance of family ties, father and or mother with sons or daughters, brothers and sisters. These relationships are often in contrasting form, suggesting conflict between the older and younger generations. Finally, there are symmetrical correspondences: 3 lords and 3 ladies, the heads of 2 hostile families and their households, 2 lovers, 2 princes, and 2 brothers. Shakespeare used different levels of speech and action to portray his characters from different angles, close up and at a distance. A character may suddenly change from everyday prose to solemn verse. There is sometimes the insertion of allegorical scenes, songs, music, and dances, as well as magical transformations. Shakespeare's language is characterized by a wide variety of rhetorical figures, similes and metaphors, assonance and alliteration, image clusters, that is, recurrent groupings of metaphors and similes often occur. Some plays have characteristic image motifs, for example, light and dark imagery in Romeo and Juliet, clothes imagery in Macbeth, and the figures of disease, corruption, death in Hamlet. These image clusters are connected to the main themes of the plays and define their tones. Shakespeare's use of vocabulary has never been surpassed. He used obscure and archaic words, mythological allusions. He invented a dramatic number of new words. The variety in the verse structure is also impressive. Shakespeare reshaped the regular blank verse line, increasingly using irregular lines from one play to the next.